we're all about education, and like I said, I spoke to some of you earlier. We went to a financial symposium today, and the whole theme was financial education and teaching kids about money. And the firm belief from all the financial institutions, from Junior Achievement, and all these organizations is start young. The younger you start, and as soon as they start asking questions, try to answer them. And the big key phrase was teachable moments. And I think in life we go through it and we see we have opportunities to teach our children something and also learn. I mean, I have done these classes now, and by everyone participating, I've learned from other people some of the things that have worked for them. And I'm going to share some of those ideas with you tonight because I thought they were brilliant. I thought people have good ideas, and probably most of you, maybe all of you, are doing it right. I know as a parent and as an adult, if I could do it over, I would do it differently. And I would have, my son would have learned more. And I was more of this mother that was giving. And it's all right to give, but it's all right to have them earn and learn from it as well. So I'm going to share some of my experiences. I hope you'll share some of yours, and we'll all learn something tonight. I think if you ask any 5-year-old where money comes from, they'll say a machine. And because I think they firmly believe that's where money comes from. I have a 4-year-old grandson. I was in the store with him, and he wanted something. And so I said, "Grandma doesn't have any money today, Mason." And he said, "Get out your plastic." So at 4 years old, he was already talking about plastic and the machine. And so I'm trying to teach him what I didn't teach my son. So I guess I've been given a second chance. And now that I've learned a lot, I'm going to take advantage of it and try to give him some help. We'll let these people join us too. Hi, welcome. I'm glad you could join us tonight. My name's Janet, and this is Susie. We're from Credit Union West. Hi, young ladies. It's good to have you here too. But the whole point of tonight is kind of looking at opportunities that we can work with our children and teach them about money. Everybody has a different philosophy on whether or not kids should be given an allowance and how they should earn money. We're just going to talk about some of the options that you have. And so these are some of the topics we're going to cover. And hopefully as we go through, you'll see and get answers to some of these questions. What I've learned and what I've been told too is if you use a consistent approach and you're consistent throughout teaching these children, they will learn and they'll become more responsible adults. And the reason we want to teach them these things is so they can achieve success early in life and throughout their life, because this is one of those learning experiences that will carry them through the rest of their life and will help them make better decisions when they're adults. So we're finding that parents don't really talk to their children about money. Maybe all of you do, but Jumpstart Coalition, when they asked them, the parents, how many parents they did a survey, talked to their children about money, 57% said they did. Well, that's half. And then when they asked the same survey, they asked the children how they felt and what they were learning from their parents. 90% of the children said they wish they'd learn more. So I thought that was kind of interesting because the parents were saying we are teaching, and the children were saying we want to learn more. So maybe these teachable moments will give you the opportunity to share more information with them. So anybody have ideas why parents don't talk to their children about money? Do any of you, did your parents, maybe you do, but did your parents talk to you? No, your parents didn't talk to you about money. Good, good.
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. What we're told is that most parents don't feel they have enough time. They're working parents, they come home, they have dinner, and they just feel they don't have the time to have these discussions with their children. And some people say they don't have enough money to actually talk with their children about money. So, there's different reasons we've been told, but I really think the more opportunities you have, the healthier your child will be in the future. And that's what when we look at the economic times of today, we really want to give them help and give them some ideas and goals of what they might reach. We're going to talk next about why they want to learn, because they want to reach a goal. They want to master a skill, and they really desire independence. And those are all things that we want to see our children achieve in life. So these are some good reasons to help them. And I think a consistent approach is really going to be helpful. We're going to talk about some different steps that we can do. And if you pull out this information I put inside your packet, we're going to talk about some teachable moments. And what we're going to do is, I really think it's important to encourage your children, whether they're spending or saving. And then we have to also realize that, especially the younger children here tonight, they know how to spend money, but they also want to have some opportunities to earn money. And I think that children definitely are spenders, and so they want to have these opportunities to figure out how they can earn money to buy what they want and need, or think that they need. And we're going to talk about wants and needs tonight too, because I find that whenever I'm working with children, they really get it. They really understand the difference between a want and a need. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'm going to ask some of the children here tonight what they think wants and needs are. But some of the teachable moments that we've talked about in classes is, if you're planning a vacation, you might want to include your children in the discussion. And maybe most children, if they go on vacation, they want a souvenir and they want to bring something back. Maybe they can have a goal to earn some money so that when they go on vacation, they have that spending money to buy what they want. We had one parent in a class tell us that she paid her child, and she had 2 children, an allowance. But what she did is, if they would save any portion of that allowance, she would match it. And so if they got $5 in a week, and they saved $1, she would give them $1, and she would match it. And she said it was great incentive for them to really want to save money and reach a goal. So, I mean, that's an idea that you might want to consider, and it might really encourage them. We had one lady tell us in a class that once she initiated that saving match, that she was amazed the $5, instead of being spent, the whole thing went into savings. So she was matching. She was suddenly giving her daughter $10 allowance instead of $5. But she was still happy to see that child wanted to save and was saving for a purpose or a goal. So that's a possibility. Another teachable moment is maybe clipping coupons and having them realize what it's like to clip coupons and save. Do any of you have any ideas for teachable moments or something you've done with your children? Speak up. Whatever you hear.
Basically, what we do, like because of the fact that he does have some of his own money, and a lot of times, like, he'll want me to purchase something, and I'll say, well, would that be something that you would take your money and buy? Is it something you really want that you'll take your money and buy? No. And I'm like, well, why should I take my money and buy it? And so it puts it in perspective for him as far as weighing, what the importance is, and again, the need or the want.
Right.
So, and then that ends the discussion, basically.
Does anybody else have any ideas they want to share?
We take our change, if the girls have a roll, change, we use that when we go on vacation.
Anybody else have any ideas that they want to share? One of the things that really seemed to work well, Amy, my coworker, was here last week, and she's done some of our classes, is she would have a family finance night, and that night was really dedicated to teaching the kids. It was a family gathering. They'd order pizza. They'd sit down and they'd talk about different ways they could save money. They'd talk about ways that they were going to spend money as a family. So it was all done as a family unit. And she said it was very successful. She said her daughter really quickly learned about investing. She said by the time her daughter was in high school, she was already, maybe it was only putting away a small amount or investing a small amount, even in stock, but she was taking an opportunity to teach her about investment. And so, but she did it as a family night. She also said that, and I thought it was a brilliant idea, she actually had, she opened a checking account for her daughter. The only time her daughter was to use it was, and she was naturally the co-signer because her daughter was still in middle school, but she taught her how to write out checks and to pay for things that she wanted, maybe a magazine subscription. But she said she was teaching her how to reconcile a checking account, which most people do online now. But she said it was a great opportunity to let her know how to handle money and to reconcile checking accounts, which a lot of high school students today don't know how to do. So, you know, those might be things you might want to consider as just making this a family night and encouraging your children to participate in it and participate in your finances. I think most people don't really want their children to see all of their bills and things that they're paying, but we had a lady today, and it was a real heartwarming story. She had 7 children. She received assistance from the city. She was homeless. She was a drug addict. The county actually took her children away from her, and she grew up in a family. Susie, did she say 12? 15 kids were in her family. And so these 7 children were taken away from her, and she said that's when she reached the bottom. And she decided she was going to step up and she was going to be a responsible parent. And I mean, it was a heartwarming story, it was a success story, but all of her children, she decided, weren't going to be in the situation she was in. So she did have them look at her, she was a single parent, she did have them see what she was earning. She would bring in, she'd write down how much money she had from her paycheck. She'd write down all of her bills, and they'd look at her and say, is that all there is? I mean, how can you pay these bills? And suddenly they became aware of her financial crisis, what she was dealing with. And she said, I didn't want to burden my children, but I also didn't want them to become what I was. And I wanted them to realize money, you know, we've all heard money doesn't grow on trees. And so she said that was a teachable moment. And all of her, it was a great success story. She has gone on, she's taking college courses. Her children, she has 2 left at home. All the rest are in college. And, you know, I was really humbled by her whole story and how positive she was about success and that she was going to achieve success. She's now bringing in foster children. And she said, and I'm going to teach them something too, because I was a foster child once myself. And I thought, what a great story. And it shows you people can do this and we can make it work. So comparison shopping, if you take your kids to the grocery store, give them the opportunity to compare prices. One of the things in one of our classes a parent did is her high school students didn't like what she was buying. So she gave them, and she was a single parent, she gave them a small budget. And she said, okay, it has to be nutritional, but I'm going to let you spend money buying some groceries. And she said suddenly they went from maybe a name brand to a store brand. And she said they really started figuring out how money was spent. She gave them an allowance in high school on how to spend. They were buying their own personal products. So they were buying hairspray, shampoo, deodorant, and all those things. And she said it was a great opportunity for them to say, oh, I guess I really don't need this name brand. I don't need the $15 bottle of shampoo. I think maybe I can buy the $4 bottle, because it was their money. And she didn't give them extra money. She said once they ran out of the funds, they had spent the money. And she said, I always had the cheap shampoo available. She said, I'm not telling you I didn't let my children bathe and wash their hair, but she said, I let them realize what the cost of all these items were, that they had no idea of what she was spending. Yeah, so they were making choices. And she said it was very effective and very helpful. Another thing, like I said, flipping coupons, going to the grocery store, maybe doing some comparison shopping online. If your children suddenly decide they want to buy a bike and they've seen it for a great price at a bike shop, but maybe they also sell that same bike at Walmart, go on the internet. I mean, most children are pretty savvy with computers, and let them start doing research. This will prepare them for when they want to buy their first car. Because we do a vehicle buying boot camp, and the more they're prepared, the better price they get and the better they do on the whole sales. And so you can start teaching that young by having them doing comparison shopping. And you're probably going to be wanting a car pretty soon yourself. I'm going to ask Susie to take the students over to the back of the room. We have a chart, so please take your paperwork with you. We do have some laid out over there, but we're going to ask the students to really kind of look at ways they can earn money. And when they come back, we're going to have them tell us what ways they think they can earn money and share some of their ideas with us. Because you'll be surprised what some of them come up with. But I'd like you to take a minute or two. We have on page 3, we have a little assessment test, and it's real quick. It's just yes or no. And if you take a minute to look at that, we'll let you kind of do your own self-assessment. We do have some extra sheets over there, so if they want to just join Susie over there. Yeah, we do have extra sheets, so. Yeah, she'll help you. She'll help you. I'll give you a minute to look that over.
We need to, I didn't have a photo release from anybody, and I bet you we haven't done that in any class.
I don't think you have.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask them at this point if anybody has an
And if
issue.
they have an objection, maybe then somehow you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, you do it on when it's
Okay.
appropriate. And I'm
Okay.
gonna just walk in the office.
That's fine. Okay, not a problem.
Can I get you?
No, I'm all set. I've got water. You can, if you want to complete this assessment at home, I'll let you do that as well. If you're answering no on any of these questions, it's just you telling yourself, maybe I need to improve a little bit and make a few changes. The yes answers are the ones we want. And so, check it out and see. And hopefully, as we go through this, we can kind of answer some of these questions in the answers. In the booklet, in Packlet I gave you, I also have a developmental chart, and it's really helpful. It's in the packet inside. It's not in there. And it actually tells you different characteristics for children's age in learning. And then it gives you suggested teaching ideas. And so, it goes for preschoolers, middle school children, elementary. And it really gives you some great ideas for talking with kids about money. And I noticed in high school, a lot of the high school students, when we're talking to them, don't associate, when they get their first vehicle, they don't associate insurance. They don't think about a title. They don't think about a license plate. They don't think about any repairs. And so taxes, yeah, and gasoline, And so it's amazing when we make them write down some of these things, because we go online, we let them look at a tax, what the tax would be. They're very surprised at what the total cost of a vehicle is, plus what the cost is of maintaining the vehicle. And so a lot of kids don't realize that, or even when you take your kids to a movie, they think, okay, we're getting movie tickets. They don't think about the gas to get to the movie. They don't think about the food that you feed them, the popcorn and the treats while they're there. And so, a movie night, as we all know, can be very expensive. And so, these are things that we try to share with teenagers so that when they start making decisions, they realize it's not just a simple cost. There might be added fees and costs associated with it. And the sooner you start doing that, the better, because they get a better idea of what's going on. So this developmental chart will be real helpful to you. But there's different things that we're going to, while they're doing their little project over there, how children receive money. There's different ideas. You know, some parents believe in an allowance. And I'm going to tell you some advantages and disadvantages. If you want to write them in, you can. But some advantages to an allowance is it starts teaching them money basics. They learn a little bit about money management. Most parents say it's difficult to determine how much to give. Everything I've read research-wise will sometimes say $1 per age, and you know, as far as what their earnings should be. Another advantage is if they learn how to live kind of on a fixed income. If their allowance is $10 a week, they know they have that $10. The big thing that's important is that you're consistent, that you give them that $10. I mean, I remember with my son, I can give you 5 right now, but I don't have the other 5. And I've done that, you know. And so it's to be consistent, give them the same amount, and make sure that they learn how to manage that amount of money. It encourages them to start planning and budgeting. A disadvantage is sometimes they only link that to chores. So the incentive is, well, if I don't do that, I guess I just won't get that money. I don't feel like cleaning my room this week, so maybe I don't get paid. And so, go ahead.
But wouldn't that be a good thing? Because if you don't go to work, you don't get paid.
Yeah, but sometimes that's their only incentive. You know, with an allowance, they think it's the only incentive is I better do my cleaning.
If I don't feel like
Doing
I
it,
don't care about it.
I don't care about it, is what I'm
have
trying to
some
say.
things that are just, you're a member of the household, so you have to do this.
And
Regardless.
that's important too. And that's when the kids come back, that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss you know, different opportunities and what is something that's expected, because you live here. You know, this is your house too. The advantage of an allowance, it teaches the value of money. But again, you have to be consistent when you offer to give it to them. We also have the dole system. The dole system, the advantage is that in other words, you give them money as they need it.
Oh,
Okay? The advantage is parents, you have control, because since you're giving them the money, you can control their purchases. The disadvantage is they think it's an unending supply of money. Oh, they'll just keep giving me money as I need something. The dole system means it's flexible, and so you don't always have to give them money every week. And that can lead to a power struggle. Well, you did it before, why can't I have it now? You know, so that's a disadvantage. It works great for young people, real little ones, the dole system. And because then suddenly you're in a store with them and they say, this is something I really want. Then you talk about want or need. That's a teachable moment. But sometimes then you can just help them out and give them money for someone young that's not earning money. But then you can lose track of how much you're giving when you just constantly dole it out and give them money. And it works for certain expenses. The dole system works if schools have programs where you have certain fees that you have to pay. That works. I mean, parents do give their children money for school fees, and it's not something maybe you expect them to earn. Earnings. There's great advantages to earning because it teaches them where money comes from. A disadvantage is some parents feel it takes too much time, and they don't want to spend the time teaching them that lesson. But I think we all agree here tonight, you're here because you want to teach them that lesson. Earnings help them develop attitudes about work. They realize they have to be to a job on time. They realize they have responsibility, and they assume that responsibility. So it teaches that responsibility when they are earning their own money. It also teaches financial independence. And I know from a very young age, I started working, and all through high school, I bought my own clothes. I mean, I was earning enough money that I could do and make these purchases and not even have to ask my parents for that. But not every child's in that situation. You know, they don't have those same opportunities. I think that one thing that we have to also realize is sometimes kids get gifts from grandparents and they get money. And I think that you have to determine as a parent, do you want them to have the availability? It's a gift that they can spend all that money, or do you want to give them an opportunity to say, why don't you spend, if they get $10, why don't you spend $9 and save $1? And I think the more you send the message, you always pay yourself first. And by paying yourself first, I'm saying always save some of that money. Because if you do, you'll be ahead in the long run. When somebody said that you saved money in a penny jar, it's a great way for a young person to learn about saving, preschool and before kindergarten, to actually have a piggy bank and put their money in it. I saved money for a year, and I was putting change in it, and I finally went over to our branch because we actually have a machine, a money counter, and there's no fee associated with it, which I liked. So they weren't taking any of my money. And anybody want to guess how much I saved? Just saving loose change.
$50?
Oh, much more.
300.
More than that.
1,000?
Not that much. Not that much. I actually saved.
You probably would've.
That's how you get your change. Actually, it was $484. And it was just loose change. So now what I've done, my grandson, in every single room in our house, Credit Union West gives away these little piggy banks, pink pigs. So in every room in my house, there's a pink pig. And every time he sees loose change anywhere in my house, or else if I'm going into my purse, he'll say, Grandma, there's some change here on the bottom. We put it in there. And I decided, because I'm learning and because I made mistakes and I'm trying to correct them with him, I decided I was going to start teaching him how to purchase. He's only 4, but he told me when we were at the store last time that he wanted to buy new crayons. And it was about $4. I mean, it was a big pack of crayons. And so I put a picture, I cut something out of one of the flyers, I put it on the refrigerator, and I said, Mason, when we have enough money saved in that piggy bank, and of course he can't count, I said, then we'll go to the store and we'll buy the crayons. So I went over, I picked up one of the piggy banks that was pretty heavy and full, and I said, Grandma's going to count this money for you, and I'm going to show you how much it's going to take. And of course there was a lot of pennies and nickels and dimes. And when he saw the pile that I had that it was going to take to pay for his crayons, he said, Grandma, I don't need crayons. He said, don't you have some crayons in the other room? So, I mean, that was a great moment for him to not know how to count money, but to see how much that pile was. And he didn't want to spend his money. He would have spent my money, but he didn't want to spend his own. We have 2 other young ladies in here, and I want you to tell me, we were just talking about earning money at home. What are some of the ways you feel you could earn money at home?
By washing dishes,
Uh-huh.
care for a pet,
Okay.
like a dollar,
Uh-huh.
wash laundry, sort and fold clean laundry,
Mm-hmm.
carry out garbage, clean bathroom, clean your own room, vacuum carpets and rugs,
She's going to earn some money, Mom.
shop for groceries with my mom, babysit a younger sibling, and organizing clothes or cupboard, wash or wax cars.
Okay. Okay.
Grocery clothing.
What about you? Is there any ways you can earn money at home?
She didn't do one, but
No, she didn't.
what can you do? What kind of choices can you do? Think of like one thing. Wash the dishes.
Wash the dishes, okay.
Did you put in? We have to do.
Okay. One of the things that I want you to some of the younger people to think about is also ways you can earn money outside of your house and outside of your home, because going to your neighbors, maybe mowing lawns. We don't have shoveling snow in Arizona. I did that when I was a kid. Do you have any ideas?
Selling lemonade.
Selling lemonade. Anybody else have any ideas? Earning money outside of the house?
Pull the weeds out of the ground.
Okay.
Grandma's house.
Oh, okay. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, we have a neighbor that goes to Illinois for 1 week out of every month.
Uh-huh.
And she takes care of her dogs for a week every month, and she pays her way too much.
Yeah, I do that, to be
Way
honest.
just loaded.
Yeah. Well, you probably wouldn't want to watch my dog because I probably don't pay as much, but I do that. The young girl that lives across the street from me comes over and lets the dog in and out when we're gone. her parents are always with her, and so I trust her completely, and I know her mom and dad are there too. And it's a great opportunity. In fact, she came over the other night and she said, "Are you going anyplace soon?" Because she's looking towards Christmas and she was trying to earn some money. So she did ask me that. But what about garage sales?
Oh yeah. I wanted to sell toys in last garage sale, but she wouldn't let me.
Yes.
I have about like actually two things.
Pardon? Sure.
I have like one story and one about regarding one money we watched our next door neighbor's house, and she's gone to like earn like $2 or $1. The second thing was a very long time ago when my mom had a garage sale when my grandma came over. She told me because there was somebody that was selling their house, so she told me to go over there and see if there's any paper like ink on the back. So I walked over there. I found some money in the gravel, so I just went over there to see if there was any paper. There's no paper. So I walked slowly where I saw the dollar, picked it up, and found a $20 bill.
Whoa.
That was just. Yeah, because she really earned that.
That was your lucky day. What did you do with the $20?
I put it in my bank.
Good. Good for you. Good.
Big one.
Good for you. What we're going to do now is talk about wants versus needs. And really, if you think about needs, they're the essentials of life. Anybody here, and I'm going to ask the young people again, what they think a need is? Can you tell me what needs are? Do you want to tell me what needs are? This young lady here said she could.
Something like if you have $20 and you need steak for like $10.
Oh, okay. You want to eat well that night. You're thinking about eating. It actually, an essential and a need is food. Maybe not a steak, but steaks are okay if that's really your priority. They're the clothing you need. They're beds. It's a roof over your head. But a lot of times people get confused because they consider a want. A want is something that's going to enhance your life and give you some joy or quality in it. And we all have those. We all definitely have wants. But we don't necessarily need them. And I think sometimes the thing that we have to do, and this is for all the young people and the adults here, is we really have to stop before you make a purchase. If you're at a store and you see a toy you want, you might say to yourself, do I really need that? Is it something I really have to have today? And then decide if it's really important to spend your money on it or your mother's money on it. Okay? So before you buy something, stop and ask yourself that question. Because I'm going to give you an example. A lot of times we think it's just children that have these wants and needs. But whenever my husband calls me and says to me on the phone, "How much do you love me?" I have this big dreaded feeling because I know he wants something. Not that he needs it. I know he wants it. "Honey, how much do you love me?" And now I've gotten to a point where I'll say back to him, "I don't know if I really love you today a lot. I love you, but I'm not sure it's a lot. So what are you talking about?" Let's get down to it. What are you talking about? He had this great idea that he wanted a flat screen TV. We created a little exercise room, and he wanted a TV mounted on the wall. My mother lived with us for a while. We have probably 5 television sets, old television sets, but working television sets. But he really, really wanted this flat screen TV. He called me. He found a great deal. He was at Fry's, and he said, "There's this, I've been checking Janet. I've been researching." So he wanted me to know he had done his homework. And then he said, he told me the price, and I said, "What are you going to sell?" And he said, "What do you mean? Because this man is tool time Tim. This man has more tools than anyone I know, and duplicate of tools." And so I said, "Dean, the minute you put something on Craigslist and you sell one of those tools, go ahead, you buy that flat screen TV." So these are some of the things, like I said, adults are bad at this too. We really are. But these are some of the things that you should think about and we need to think about before we make purchases. Is it really a need or is it a want? Because any of us can make a want a need. I had a class and I said, what about going out to McDonald's? What do you think? Is that a want or a need? Want. Okay. One young man said, my mother never cooks. It's really a need. You know,
What's wrong with him? He can make himself.
True, true. He was pretty young. He was pretty young, but you know that was his response. That's how he made it into a need. We talked about computers. Is that a want or a need?
Today's world is a need.
Yeah.
And in today's world, it's a need, but if you think about it, it really is a want because you could go to the library and actually use a computer there if you wanted to do research. But when you start talking to college students, I mean, it's definitely a need because that's how they're going to do all their papers. And today, even in schools, in high school, in middle school, they're asking papers to be typed, and so it's become more of a need. But again, that's a want or a need, and you have to really determine. See these little bags of food in front of you? We're going to eat. That's okay. That's okay. Hopefully you haven't eaten them all. We're going to do a little taste test. And I'm going to see if you can determine what the name brand is and what the store brand is. And you know, one's Fruit Loops. I'm not going to tell you what the store brand is because if you buy them, you might know. But they actually, I'll tell you the price and everything after you taste them. So go ahead, have a taste. We'll do a little sample.
Small saying.
Okay. After everyone's had a taste of A and B. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to ask you if you'd raise your hand and tell me which one you think is the expensive brand, the name brand. Now, wait a minute, just 1 second. Do you think A is the expensive brand? Okay, raise your hand if you do. Okay. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, so we had 5. Okay. And how many people think B is the expensive brand? Okay, well, actually B won over. And we have a real select, we have connoisseurs of Fruit Loops because actually B was the more expensive brand. One was Kellogg's and the other one was Fry's Fruit Frosted O's. They actually, if you look at the panels on both boxes, they're identical. They really are. The Kellogg's brand was $4.99. The Frosted Fruit Loops would have been I think $87, but there was a sale, so I got them for $1.97. The Fry's brand was actually 3 ounces larger. And in most cases, people really can't distinguish the difference. And in most classes, like I said, you have really good palates because in most classes, people really say it's the cheaper brand that they think is the name brand. But you know, these are just different ways that you can save, and probably kids wouldn't realize they weren't eating the name brand.
Most of the time, look at where they're manufactured. 'Cause
Right.
Sometimes they'll roll out, it's the same product. They're just rolling out so many of
Right.
this brand and then they roll out some
Right.
of that from cereal.
Well, I'm from Michigan, and so Battle Creek is a very popular place for Kellogg's. And you're right, a lot of them are just different boxes. And that's true in a lot of foods. My brother-in-law works in Washington for a freeze plant. And you know, I was like, well, I really like Bird's Eye frozen vegetables. And he goes, good. He said, the C&W brand is the same thing. He said, we package for both companies. And so you're eating the same thing, Janet. And you know, I thought, well, I didn't know that, you know. And so it really is true. You know, if you do some comparison shopping, you'll find that out.
And some things that aren't.
Right. There's some things, I have to agree, there's some things that I just don't, I love butter, you know, I I can't, margarine and butter, you know, I'm spoiled that way. You really want your kids, you really want your kids while they're learning to also, if they make mistakes, learn from the consequences of those mistakes. And so often we try to bail them out, or maybe not necessarily let them learn from the consequences of it. So, you know, think about that, while make that a teachable moment as well. And in the packet, if you turn to page 10, in here I've created a spending plan, and this is a great way for them to actually learn how much they're spending and maybe setting goals of what they want to earn. So, you know, take some time and help them learn how to fill this out and realize they can achieve goals and how they spend their money and how they save their money. We do a class, and I don't know if all of you, I know you attended it, where it was amazing how much, once people started tracking what they were spending, what the true cost of maybe going to lunch each day would be. We had a woman say that she thought she spent about $200 a month. When she actually tracked her daily lunches, it was more like $400. You know, and that was for the month. We're talking about a month. And you know, when you stop at Starbucks or you take all these little convenience things and you start adding them up, you'll be really surprised if you track your expenses. And that's what we tell children even to do. See how you're spending your money. So you give them this allowance, or they earn money, ask them to track, just for 1 week even, what they spent. And they'll be surprised in ways maybe they could save or spend better. And so that's something I think that is important to know and to learn. Does anybody want to do a guess on how much the average child spends per month? What do you think? No? It's actually C. And it's $119. That breaks down to $27 a week is what the average children are spending. If you want to go to the next slide. Okay. How many TV commercials do you think children see each day?
80.
No, not 80. Anybody else want to guess?
80?
No, it wasn't 80. It's actually, it's 55. 55. And where do you think those commercials are geared towards? Kids. Okay. In 2006, kids spent, their buying power was $51 billion. So all the advertisers, they know kids are spenders, so they're going to gear everything towards them. And if, you know, some of you, maybe your little girl has done this. I know my grandson, again, I go back to him. We'll be watching cartoons on a Saturday morning. Commercials will come on, and the first words out of his mouth every time the new toy comes up, I want that, Grandma. I need that, Grandma. This is what I want, and this is what I need.
Can I say something?
Sure.
When I hear that, I tell them I'm turning the television on.
Good for you. Good for you.
You watch it, but I'm getting it, so I don't want to hear it.
But kids, the advertisers are really targeting that market. They're also targeting young people in high school and also young people in college. I mean, college freshmen, the minute they attend school, even students in high school have told me, 18 years old, seniors, they've received pre-approved credit cards in the mail. They have no earning capacity, and they're already saying to them, we'll give you $2,500 worth of credit. We had one young man in a class tell us that he was a freshman at ASU West, he received 4 free t-shirts and 4 credit cards his first day of school. And I said, Joseph, how much credit do you have? And he said, I have $10,000. And I said, and what are you going to do with it? And he said, well, I can pay it back. And I said, you can. And I said, how long is it going to take you to pay back that money? And he had already he had bought a new computer for college. He had spent $2,000 on a computer. He had bought tires for his car, which he needed to get to and from school. So he had spent $2,500. For $2,000, say you had $2,000 worth of credit on a credit card, You're going to, at 18% interest, which is low, because generally for college students they charge 25 higher, and you're going to make a minimum payment of 2%. How long do you think it's going to take to pay off that $2,000?
At least 10 years.
30 years. It's going to take you 30 years to pay it off. Plus you'll be paying interest on all of that money. And as soon as you say that to kids, especially high school students, they suddenly realize it's not free money. You know, it comes with, it's a loan. It comes with an obligation, it has interest with it. That same class that we taught, it was with Avondale, Joseph at the end of the class cut up 3 credit cards, so he had 1. And I felt really good because I knew when we left that day, he suddenly realized the value of money and what he was going to be spending to repay that money. And that's what we're really trying to teach kids at an early age about, that it is a loan and with it comes a repayment. And since we're talking about repayment, if you look in your packet, you're going to see, yes?
Can I just like real quick on that, when the kids are saying that they want things,
Mhm.
now with Christmas coming, it seems like there's more advertising. And what I started doing is with Christmas and a birthday coming up,
Uh-huh.
every time we're at the store, now she's saying, oh, I want that, or can I get that, I
Mhm.
want that. And I just say, well, when we go home, we can put it on our list. And we
Right.
have a list, and that really does, it's luckily working.
Right.
Like she says, oh, okay, yeah, I want to put that on my list, so that when people call and ask about Christmas and birthday, I just go to the list.
That's a
and tell
great
them what she
idea.
wants. And then I said, you know, we can give that list to Santa or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
that way it's not like, okay, you know,
Like
no,
you
you
can just
can't,
blow
no,
it
you
off.
can't have that. So you say no, you just say, you should put that on your list then. Remember that when we get home, we'll add it to the list.
That's a great idea. It really is, because with the holidays coming, they're going to see more advertisements.
Because I'm like, I haven't buying anything between now and Christmas.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
And she knows it's on the list, and you didn't just blow it
Yeah,
off.
she feels good instead of saying, oh, maybe you'll, because instead of saying, well, maybe you'll get that for Christmas or maybe you'll get that for your birthday,
Mhm.
they feel like, but I want it now.
Right.
Maybe, you know, and they feel like you're putting them off. This way, it's like, I'm taking note of what you're saying,
Mhm.
write it down. And
That's a great idea. It really is. A lot of times, too, kids get excited if you put a photograph on the refrigerator of something they want. And, you know, even if it's something they're going to earn that they want to buy, they start looking at it as a goal. And then they start saving their money to achieve that goal. So that's really a good idea. But I put in here a contract. And it's something I wish I would have done. And I still have a son that sometimes calls me and says, Mom, I need some money. I'm in a situation where I really, really need this. And I've decided from here on in, because he's an adult child, that he is going to sign a contract with me and realize that Mom is not going to forgive the debt, that she's going to hold him responsible for it. So when your kids are talking to you, I know I've heard this, oh, please, 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 you know, I really need this. I promise I'll pay you back. Their friends are all standing around waiting for them. They're getting maybe it's $20. I need to go out with my friends tonight. You know, we're going to go to the mall. We're going to go shopping. Please, 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 I'll pay you back. And you suddenly have all this peer pressure. Their friends are there. So you either say, okay, it's an advance on your allowance, I'll give you the money, or you say, okay, I understand, you know, you can have the money. But I really think the best way, and I'd like, again, you know, I'm talking from not doing it and wishing I did, is maybe whipping out this little loan. You know, you can have various forms of this loan document for the kids and to talk about with them. And you can modify it in any way that you like, but making them realize what it's for. And I'm not saying you have to add interest to everything that you do with your children, but maybe making them responsible for the debt to repay you. In one class, a lady has used this. She was really frightened because her daughter was going to go into driver's training and start driving, you know, and she's going, oh, what am I going to do? And she wanted her child to be a responsible driver. So she decided what she was, because her child kept saying, I need a car. You know, can I have your car? Can I drop you off at work and then pick you up afterwards? I mean, they had it all figured out how it was going to work and that she could make it happen. She made her daughter sign a safe driving contract with her, saying, as long as you maintain good grades, as long as you show me you're responsible and you're home when I ask you to come home, I'll let you use the car. And so she put conditions on it that her daughter was willing to meet. And it was fair. It was also creating some expectations. And it was kind of reassuring her in the back of her mind that maybe she would be safe and thoughtful about this whole process and responsibility of driving. And she did the same thing when they went to purchase a vehicle. The first car that they bought, she did a contract. Now that's one thing I did do with my son. Is I made him, when he bought his first car, we told him we would split he was buying a beater. He was buying a used vehicle. And we told him we would split the cost. So if he bought a $1,200 Fairmont, they no longer make Ford Fairmont, and it was huge. We felt if it was big, it was safer. And, so there was safety in that. We felt most of his kids would be, his friends would be embarrassed to be in this vehicle with him. And so, maybe he wouldn't drive everybody in it. And so he came up with $600. We matched it. He had to pay for his own gas. He had to split the cost of insurance with us. And it worked. It really did work. He got to love the car. Because when they went to football games and stuff like that, he didn't care if everyone wanted to paint on his car and write something, because he didn't have a fancy car. It was two-tone, some of it was rusted. So it became a vehicle that was used, and he got his money's worth out of it. We were happy with that arrangement, and we had a mechanic check it out, even though it was a $1,200 car, just to make sure it was in good running condition for our investment. So, those are things you can think about doing with your child. And all of his friends, we were in a neighborhood where some of the kids were driving BMWs and really nice cars. And, he was totally embarrassed, but again, he began to love the vehicle. When we finally towed it away, it had its life in use. We actually had to tow it out of the driveway, but it served the purpose, and it got him to and from. And, kids don't always have to have. And I think when he bought his second car, he suddenly realized what was involved. These kids that were driving their parents' fancy cars didn't have any concept of money or buying a vehicle. A lot of their parents gave them cars. High school students graduating with a brand new vehicle and a very nice car, probably nicer than we were driving at the time. So we taught him something about the value of money and to purchase a car. So these contracts can come in handy. Another way they can come in handy, because your two young daughters probably are now interested in clothes. When they go shopping with you, they probably see things that they really like and they might want to buy. And another parent shared this with us, and it was another great idea. She gave her kids, at the beginning of a school year, an allowance. And she gave them, she figured at the beginning of the school year she'd spend $500 in buying her children clothes. That included tennis shoes and other items. And she said the first time they went shopping they did solo shopping with their own money. She said instead of buying designer jeans that were $100 a piece, they came home with 3 pairs of jeans for $100 because it was their money. And she said her one daughter really did like designer things. She came home, her sister had all these bags of clothes, and she had 2 or 3 items. And her sister was a little jealous that, her other sister had shopped wisely. She said, my daughter on her own, she said, I didn't say to her, take these things back, or she said, my daughter went back to the store and said, I want to return these items, I think I can do better. And she did. And she learned that she wanted to buy nice clothes, but not spend that kind of money in buying them. And I thought, what a great learning opportunity to teach your children about money and what it costs to buy clothes. And so there's so many ideas out there. Again, I wish I didn't learn all these things, and that maybe you'll have the opportunity to share with your children. But, again, make them think about whether they want to borrow the money or whether or not they want to save for it rather than borrow. If you're going to charge, if they're making a big ticket purchase, go on the internet, help them shop and teach them how to shop on the internet so they're smart shoppers. Do your homework first. And then explain the consequences if they don't make the right decision, because we all make mistakes. I mean, I've got clothes in my closet I wish I never bought. And at the time it was like, oh, that was cute. And then a month later, that wasn't so cute. And so let them learn that you won't go right back out and buy them something new, and teach them those things, because those are important. But I think one of the most important things that I can really share with you tonight is help them save. And Susie, we can keep going on to a couple more slides. We've kind of talked about goals and setting goals for them. In your packet, you'll see how they can measure goals, and long-term, short-term, and immediate goals. And we're going to keep going. We're going to pass through the one. We talked about borrowing. Saving, pay yourself first. So you get $10 from grandma, put $1 in a savings account. And sometimes parents want to reward you. Like I said, sometimes they'll match your savings. Sometimes they can look and see what you've accomplished and say, that's a great job. I'm going to reward you for doing that and accomplishing that. But keep going, Suze. This shows you a little bit about how money grows. And I realize in today's economy, we haven't always seen it grow the way we want, but money to grow takes time. And if you look at the person that started saving $1,000 a year now at 6%, which is high today, but over time in compounding, you can see how much money they made. Another person started 10 years later, same amount of money over that period of time, and look at the difference in time, in saving and investing, how money grows and what you can do with it. And I think if each one of you today, young people, started putting away $1, by the time you were my age, and without exaggerating, if you use smart money management and let that money grow, you could be millionaires. And I know you could. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It really takes discipline to save the money and invest. And, and get some advice. I mean, right now, like I said, it's better to put your money in someplace safe and look at it compound. In your packets of information, we put some information about programs that we have. We have a STAR checking account. Again, if you wanted to open a checking account in your child's name, there's certain requirements in it. You have to have an automatic deposit. That can be any amount of money. It can be small. And so you could have your checking account with a bank, and you might want to transfer a small amount of money. You have to do 10 debit transactions. We have one senior client that he wasn't sure he wanted a debit card. He's a member. He goes into Albertson's grocery store at the beginning of the month. It's by my house, because when I come in with a Credit Union West shirt on, they say hi to me and they know this man. He buys 10 packages of gum individually with his debit card, and he's completed his 10 debit transactions for the month. So it's a way that you can help them start saving. In the same packet, we're giving you the first $5. I'm not trying to sell Credit Union West, maybe I am, but I believe in it. But we'll help you let your children start their first savings. So we'll give you the first $5. So each one of you young people here today, we'll give you $5. As you start earning money, as you start receiving gifts, and you earn the money, put $1 aside, or just save, pay yourself first, and start saving some money, because I really guarantee you will earn money and your money will grow. We have a CD that we're doing at the credit union, but we're really, our goal here is to really help educate people, especially young people. I go into schools. If you have a Brownie troop, a Cub Scout troop, or anyone else, a homeschool group that you want us to share this information with, we'll do it. We'll come out and share the information. We do branch tours. We had a Brownie troop come through and learn about the bank, learn about not bank, but financial institution. and shared the information with them about jobs, how to save. We took them into our vault. We showed them counterfeit money. And so we let them understand a little bit about money and what to do with it and how it can grow. Life isn't all about money. Life is about sharing. I hope that I'm not just trying to instill in all of you greed or our money is everything in life, because it's really not. If you have opportunities that you can give of yourself, at Christmas, this year I kind of told my stepchildren and my family, I'm regifting. I mean, during the year I give them so much, and I've decided this year I'm going to do some regifting. I have things, they'll come over and they'll say, oh, Janet, I really like that. Well, guess what? This Christmas they're going to get it. You know, I'll wrap it up and I'll give it to them. My grandson's regifting toys. I have tons of toys in my house that are for him to use when he comes over, but I want to teach him about giving. I don't want it all to be about give me, give me, give me. I want him to learn to share. So hopefully, you know, I've shared things with you tonight that will be helpful for you and in your future. And I'm here, my card's inside the packet, and I'm willing to share any information I can with you. Does anybody have questions? No? Any other ideas that we can share? No? Okay. Good luck to all the young people here tonight. I hope you succeed. And good luck to us older people. I hope the stock market doesn't kill us. But, you know, I'm optimistic. You know, life is about change, and we're going through some change right now, and we'll get through it. You know, history has shown us we've been through change before, and things have improved. So let's hope for the best. Thank you for coming tonight.